Am I the asshole for refusing? Getting kicked out? To open my own, tiny restaurant, I, a 25-year-old, had been saving for years. My dream has always been to start my own restaurant and work as a chef. I worked toward this objective with every cent I made from both full-time and part-time jobs after graduation. I saved $75,000 after working hard and living 7 years. Although they were aware of my dream, my parents dismissed it as a passing fad. In order to save money on rent, I moved in with them, which accelerated my goal-achieving process. I should have moved out sooner. Looking back, the golden child is my younger sister, who is 19F. She is my parents' clear favorite and is excellent at everything. They never failed to make comparisons between us, elevating her while ignoring me. My sister was accepted to an Ivy League university last month to pursue a master's degree. Although my parents were overjoyed, the living expenses and tuition significantly outstripped their expectations. They convened a family meeting one evening. I assumed it was to talk about my sister's acceptance, but instead they wanted me to donate all of the money I made from my business to her schooling. I was taken aback. As though anticipating this, my sister sat there smugly. My parents were waiting for me to agree as they gave me an eager gaze. When I was hesitant, my mother started stressing the value of education and the fact that this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Family comes first, according to my dad, and I should encourage her to pursue her goals. It was unbelievable to me. What about the years I'd spent working hard and my dreams? I explained how much the money meant was to reaching my goal when I informed them I couldn't. My mother broke down in tears and accused me of being self-centered. When my dad raged that I was betraying the family and that he had always been envious of my sister's success, his face flushed crimson with rage. My sister didn't state that she didn't want my money or even defend me. She obviously felt entitled to it. The dispute swiftly got out of hand. I was guilt-tripped by my parents, who said that allowing me to live rent-free was a great favor because they had given up everything for us. Conveniently, they disregarded the housework and upkeep I had performed while I was residing there. I remained steadfast, declaring that although I loved my sister and wanted her to succeed, I couldn't let go of my own goals. Like other students, I advised her to take out student loans or postpone for a year in order to save money. Outrage erupted in response to this suggestion, for even implying that my sister should have to struggle or postpone her education. My mother accused me of being callous. According to my father, I should be the older brother and take care of my sister because taking out loans was too risky. The dispute continued for hours. It always got worse when I believed it couldn't. Every error I had ever committed and every flaw my parents saw in me was brought up. They often made negative comparisons between me and my sister. It felt like long-suppressed animosity was being let go. At last, my father threatened to throw me out of the house if I didn't give my sister the money. He offered me a day to choose between packing my things and turning over my funds. I was taken aback. It was unbelievable to me that they would progress thus far. A larger part of me understood that if I gave in now, I would be bitter against them for the rest of my life. But a smaller part of me wanted to give in to maintain harmony and avoid losing my family. Along with my money, I would also have to give up my goals and my sense of self-worth. That night, I tossed and turned, considering my possibilities. I had made up my mind by dawn. My parents looked surprised when they genuinely thought I would comply with their requests. My mom tried one more time to get me to change my decision while I was packing my car. Always regret this and that. I was making the biggest mistake of my life. My dad's expression was a mask of despair and rage as he stared from the window. At last, my sister spoke up, but not to support me. She accused me of being self-centered and claimed that she was always aware of my lack of concern for her. I did care for her in spite of everything, but I couldn't burn myself alive to keep her warm. So her comments hurt more than my parents. I had a range of feelings as I drove away from the house where I grew up, including fear, sadness, and rage, but I also felt relieved. I had the impression that a burden had been removed. I had defended myself against my family's irrational expectations for the first time in my life. The initial days were difficult. While I searched for an apartment, I stayed with a friend. My folks bombarded my phone with messages that alternated between violent outbursts and guilt trips. For my own peace of mind, I banned their phone numbers. When word spread around the extended family, opinions diverged. Some family members backed me up, claiming my parents were being irrational. Others accused me of being ungrateful and self-centered, siding with my parents. It was a complete disaster. I put myself into my restaurant plans after finding a tiny place. It was thrilling and challenging. especially without the network of support I believed I had. I had complete power over my life and my choices for the first time. Months passed. According to rumors, my sister had chosen to postpone order to work and accumulate savings. I was unhappy that it had come to this, but I also felt somewhat justified. A few times, my parents tried to get back together, but only if I continued to pay my sister the money. I remained steadfast in my choice. Our relationship was still tense and aloof. 6 months later, I'm almost done negotiating a lease for a tiny restaurant location. It's a beginning, but not much. I am reminded that I made the proper decision with each step I take toward realizing my ambition. However, doubts do arise. As the days thrill wanes late at night, I question whether I made the correct decision. Was I being self-centered? Really? Was it right of me to give up something for my sister? Was my decision to shut off communication with my family an overreaction? I am aware of my parents' poisonous and deceptive actions. My sister was acting entitled, and I know it. Despite everything, I still miss them since they are my family. I can't help but question whether there was a more effective approach to deal with the circumstance. Reddit. Did I make a mistake by refusing to part with my savings? Was it right of me to maintain my ground and follow my aspirations even if it meant sacrificing my ties with my family? Or should I have found a medium ground? Edit 1. This really took off overnight. I appreciate all of your feedback and encouragement. I'll attempt to answer some frequently asked questions and offer some background. My sister has always been given preference by my parents, but it has never been this obvious. In retrospect, I can see that they consistently expected me to make minor sacrifices for her. Our parents' money plus a scholarship my sister received helped to cover the cost of her undergraduate studies. They didn't have enough saved because this master's program was unexpected. Some inquired about my sister's employment opportunities, although her field of study has significant career potential. This is not a given. It appears that my parents believe this degree will help her in. Cultural expectations were brought up in a few remarks, although not to this extent. It is typical in our culture for elder siblings to assist younger ones. My parents went too far, according to the majority of my cousins. If you're wondering why I didn't move out sooner, the answer is that I was attempting to save money and living with parents till marriage is common in our culture. I now see how much power this gave my parents over me. Some said that in order to maintain harmony, I ought to have made a lower offer. My parents made it clear that it was all or nothing. They wanted the entire $75,000, but I gave it some thought. For those who are interested in the restaurant, it will be a small establishment that specializes in fusion cuisine, which blends flavors from the area with aspects of our cultural heritage. It's thrilling but frightening. Many people want to know if I keep in touch with my sister. I've made several attempts to contact her, but she either ignores me or replies with brief and interesting texts. I believe she accuses me of sabotaging her scheme. On the remarks on my parents' financial status, they are not having financial difficulties. They live comfortably and work well. They simply didn't want to take money out of their own retirement or savings accounts. Family therapy was recommended by some. I believe we all need space right now, but I'm open to it in the future. My parents have yet to admit that their desire was irrational. Again, I want to thank everyone for their insights. Hearing your viewpoints and sharing this tale has been healing. I'll keep you informed on the restaurant's progress. Edit 2. Since there is still interest in this post, here is another update. I've given the remarks that I should attempt to patch things up with my sister. Apart from my parents, a lot of thought. Yes, she is young and may yet be influenced by them. I made the decision to get in touch with her once more, this time sending a longer email outlining my position. I was surprised when she answered. She wrote a confused and angry email. She acknowledged that she was conflicted about how our parents were handling it and wanted the chance I was denying her. She did, however, agree to meet next week to discuss the matter face to face. Regarding the restaurant, everything are moving along nicely. I completed the lease and got the improvements underway. Although it requires a lot of work, my confidence in my choice grows every day. A number of my friends have volunteered, and I am so grateful for their support. Since my last update, my parents have not in touch. According to a cousin, they are informing relatives that I have left them. Even though it hurts, I'm making an effort to concentrate on the good things in my life. At the moment, some of you recommended that I write my parents a thorough letter outlining my thoughts and feelings. After the restaurant opens, I believe I'll do that. I need to put all of my attention into realizing this dream right now. Again, I want to thank you all for your help and guidance. It has been immensely beneficial throughout this challenging period. Update. I wanted to discuss what has transpired since my last post, which was nearly a year ago. everything has changed, and I'm still getting used to it. The first piece of good news is that my restaurant is now open. It has now been open for around 4 months. It's tiny, like I always intended, and has a welcoming ambiance with a cuisine that blends regional flavors with traditional foods from our culture. Although the initial weeks were quite hectic, things have begun to settle down. Although we haven't made a lot of money yet, we are breaking even and gaining a devoted clientele. I've even been able to hire a dishwasher, a part-time server, and 2 line cooks. Every minute feels worthwhile, even though I've been working non-stop, often 14-hour days. I'm living out my dream right now. My friends and my few remaining family member support has been crucial. Now for the unexpected turn of events. I heard the bell over the door ring yesterday while I was getting ready for the dinner service. After I announced that we weren't open, I heard a voice I recognized say, "I'm not here as a customer." My sister was the one. She appeared more worn out and less put together than I had recalled. We simply stared at one another for a while, unsure of what to say. The stillness was finally broken by her. She said, "I need a job," in a timid and low voice. "I was wondering if you had any openings." I was taken aback. The last thing I anticipated was this. For the first time in months, we had a conversation when I encouraged her to sit down. As it happened, her life had not gone as planned. Finding a job in her profession proved more difficult than she had expected, especially without the master's degree she had been banking on. She had postponed her enrollment to the Ivy League institution, hoping to work for a year and save money. She informed me that our parents were still upset with me. They accused me of sabotaging her opportunity to receive a prestigious degree, to pay for her education. They had been pressuring her to acquire a well-paying job, but she was starting to feel the effects of the strain. Unable to cope with their continual disappointment, she had left their home a month ago. I could see how much she had changed as she spoke. The haughtiness had vanished, and in its place came a humility I had never witnessed in her. She expressed regret for not defending me that day and acknowledged that she had been mistaken to feel entitled to my money. To be honest, I was a little depressed. We were sad about the time we had lost. I was saddened by the way our family had disintegrated. I promised to give the job some thought and get back to her. I'm conflicted now. On the one hand, her previous behavior still hurts me, and I'm concerned that hiring her could cause new issues or reopen old ones. However, she is requesting assistance, and she is my sister. For the hectic weekend shifts, I could also use an additional server. I have not yet made up my mind. I can't help but think what my parents would say if they found out she had turned to me for support. I question whether this is an opportunity to begin mending our relationship or if it's a recipe for catastrophe. So, Reddit, I'm in need of your counsel once more. Do I need to hire my sister? After everything that has transpired, is it prudent to combine family and business? Should I advise her to search elsewhere instead? I never imagined myself in this situation, deciding on my sister's destiny. I suppose life has a way of taking you by surprise. Any opinions or suggestions would be greatly valued. Last update. A few weeks have passed since my last post, and I've come to a decision I never would have imagined. I've made the decision to assist in paying for my sister's schooling after giving it some serious thought and having several lengthy discussions with her. I understand that considering all that has transpired thus far, this may come as a surprise, but listen to me. We began communicating more frequently after my sister arrived and asked for a job. I knew it would be very difficult to combine family and business at this time, so I didn't hire her at the restaurant. However, I saw from our chats how much she had developed and evolved over the previous 12 months. She acknowledged that she had been entitled and self-centered during the family argument and expressed regret for her actions. She informed me that the previous year had served as a wake-up call for her. Her struggle to make ends meet while working minimum wage jobs had changed her outlook on the importance of hard effort and money. Her statement that she now realized why my restaurant idea meant so much to me was what truly got to me. She had never before respected the amount of labor I had put into making it a reality. I also discovered that our parents continued to put pressure on her to pay for her education, making her feel inadequate for not being able to do it on her own. It brought back memories of the years I spent feeling below their standards. I gave it a lot of thinking before deciding. I assured her that I would cover half of her next year's tuition. Although it's not the entire sum my parents had previously requested, it's still a sizable donation that would enable her to begin her master's program without being deeply indebted. What made me choose to do this? I didn't do it because I felt guilty or obligated to. It's because I witnessed my sister's real transformation. I noticed someone who was making an effort to improve herself after learning some difficult lessons. In the end, I came to the realization that I did want to assist her if I could, not at the expense of my own goals, but in a way that seemed write to me. I can now afford this without putting my restaurant's operations at risk because it is doing well enough. Being able to assist on my own terms is a pleasant feeling. When I told my sister, she became quite emotional. She sobbed and gave me a hug, saying she would work part-time to pay for her living expenses and that she would reimburse me eventually. I advised her to take full advantage of this chance as the greatest way to repay me. Our parents haven't been informed yet, although I have no idea how they will respond. I am certain that my choice will remain the same regardless of the outcome. My sister and I are the only ones involved. I'm content with this decision. It feels right, even if it's not what I expected. Life occasionally offers you the opportunity to change how your narrative ends. I own this.